Now, there are quite a number of games that have been revered for pushing the shooter genre forward. From the mechanics and graphical trickery of Wolfenstein and Doom, the movement of Quake, the slowdown feature in Max Payne, best game ever played, to the absolute suffering that is microtransactions and QuickTime events. These are all well documented and claimed, but have I mentioned the cover mechanic? Yes, something as trivial as that has also had a trailblazer to push it forward, and that trailblazer is Winback Covert operations for Nintendo 64. The console itself isn't green to these type of games, obviously, but there is something special about Winback that totally has nothing to do with that banging intro. Released on September 30th, 1999 by developers of Megaforce, a division of Koei responsible for bangers like Dynasty Warriors and Hyrule Warriors. With that also in mind, this team with zero experience in anything that isn't hack and slashes decided to fuck around and create a banger, and this video is, looking at that banger. The story starts with, let's check out the tutorial first real quick, which is a total piece of work I may add. Here we get our first glimpse of John Look. Oh wow, what an interesting name. Surely he totally isn't, the main character. Jokes aside, we also get our first glimpse of the cover system, which is very sick and nuanced. It has this strategic flavor to it that really pushes it forward. You can't go guns blazing, so every bullet a second counts. Quite literally, since getting shot once slices, 50-60% off your health bar on average. You have to be precise and plan out where to play your hide and seek game, or maybe if you're patient enough, just go up for the kill. Speaking of stealth, this game has a heavy amount of MGS1 influence, with fragments of stuff like Siphon Filter. Play Siphon Filter, so good. The character designs and especially the enemies just exude MGS. Although as we will see from this review, the notion Winback has of just being a Metal Gear clone is just short-sighted and disingenuous. Alright, back on track. The rest of your arsenal consists of a machine gun, some C4, and a shotgun, cause why not? After learning more about this game's fetish for conveyor belts, the instructor puts our skills to the test, which he immediately hands my ass, which one of those times I attempted to crouch, but I managed to unalive myself with C4 instead. As we can see, it takes a little bit of time to get it custom, but I find the controls really interesting. The campaign consists of 30 levels, all ranging from pretty short jogs to 20-minute stress fests, with bosses sprinkled around. And I will get to those boss fights soon enough, you have my word. Now, the level structure is fairly simple. Walk, hide, shoot, and repeat. Sometimes there's red lasers blocking your path, which requires shooting these green switches to move forward. Sometimes they're in plain sight or you gotta backtrack to take care of the job. There's ammunition and health refills sporadically placed around the map, but I remember in level 1 I kept dying a lot, as you would, so I just wish those health boxes were more prevalent. There's some wood explosives and later barrels scattered around for funny ragdoll death animations, and boxes that you have to use your entire clip just to destroy, which is annoying. But that's pretty much the gist of all the levels. I'm stating them now so I don't sound like a broken record later on. Alright, we've wasted enough time, let's move on to the cheesy ass story. We start off airborne over West Ham Mountains where we meet the Scat Commandos, who are being grilled by this commander. Totally nobody important to the story, of course. So these misfits are sent out to stop some terrorists from killing us all with a satellite. Seems straightforward enough, and oh no, the chopper is going down, and apparently the commander just died. Surely he won't show up at a pivotal moment, right guys? The rest of the crew have been separated across the map and we'll find them through the story. The first one we meet is Matt, who... Well, at least we get our first glimpse into this Liquid Snake impersonator. I mean Cecile, who ominously vanishes into the fog, never to be seen again. After chasing him for an eternity, we have our first boss, which, she does have a machine gun. And an obnoxious laugh. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm kinda conflicted with this and later bosses. They are difficult, yes, which I embrace 100%, but there's still a stench of bullshit attached to it. Like, why does the length from when the boss is hit and not taking damage to the hurt box reappearing so long? And why do they continue to shoot? That's just cheap. And the extra soldiers, oh my lord. I mean, I don't mind as long as you have visible and set places to cover, but there are bosses where you're just getting shot at the get-go by all sides, and you gotta move blindly or face the rain. Overall, this first one was alright when I got it, but there will be worse. Anywho, Jake slides in to save the day, probably been using all this time to harness the anger and hatred inflicted by his commander, and here we end up at the worst part of the game in my honest unbiased opinion. If I was playing on something like a CRT, I have a sinking feeling this would be just a grand old time. And besides, who in the hell likes levels with sewers in them? After a Jake jump scare, John Luke chats it up with another survivor in Thomas, who takes one for their team by gunning it to the security room so it can pass. After circumventing these fucking moving lasers that I cannot get past for the life of me, John Luke makes his way outside where, oh, it's that guy again. Here we have to search for 4 explosives to defuse with the detector on the top right, that I never actually used admittedly. Like this shit was beeping and yet my dumbass was too focused on healing like a wimp. There's also turrets placed around the map here. I'm not sure if you can take damage while shooting, or these goons just suck at their jobs. The game manages to ramp up here in difficulty, further shown by this one section that took me a while to get past without save state, so I think that's saying something. Or I suck. After meeting Thomas, who orders us to defuse all the bombs like an annoyed parent, our next boss shows up in Leon. And oh boy, another boss that requires a lot of movement. Surely this won't be painful. The last boss is defused after the fight, and we run out back when suddenly... As you can tell, that was my shocked gas, which is way more convincing than whatever the hell John is doing. It's not all for naught though, since that trooper wrote the code door in his own blood. Wow, that's hardcore. John goes alone on the elevator to confront whatever is down there, which is another boss that is way more manageable in my opinion. This old geezer named Ryan just does nothing but overhead throw his bombs as his special, that can be easily maneuvered around with the controls in mind. After catching more shells than 50 Cent in the year 2000, he gets back up. And honestly, I feel bad. I hope he retires and continues to do old people stuff like feeding his favorite pigeon or checking his favorite bingo card for the last time.
What the fuck? Okay.
Or that. Going back up, we find other comrades with generic names that I forgot about, and they lead us to the west area. This area isn't all that special unless you enjoy fishing out keys and sewer water. After more tours of this magnificent sewer system, we meet our next boss, who is just some bald guy arsonist. But the one thing I'm hung up on is, why is this man hiding behind explosive boxes? Like, how unintentionally unself-aware can a character be from his personality to his whole job? And how is he quick enough to dodge minimal effort? Sorry, I'm getting riled up at the wrong things here. This boss is painful as hell. After one exciting conveyor ride, John finds... Oh no, not Steve! Wait, who is he? Fast forwarding a little bit, but this night level where you can equip the flashlight is the best part of Winback in my opinion. Mainly because John feels like a second generation Jason Bourne in the dark. John finds Keith on the ground for some reason, who directs us to the group. He then finds a dying engineer who spits some Fast and Furious bullshit about family, and immediately after he kicks the bucket, the body just simply despawns, which I found hilarious. After fending off a gauntlet, we see Law fighting for his life, and he still manages to help us out before Cecile shows up to end him. That dirty bastard. The next boss shoots out explosives that do a 90-degree turn. Just get close and gun his ass down and you're good. Now inside of the building is just full of conveyor belts, switches, command rooms, and a lot. Takes a long while to maneuver, and due to the lack of different textures it's easier to get lost. We meet with Mike to confirm Jake and Lisa's safety, just in time for him to get murdered by just a guy with a gun. Wow, this is boring. Oh, finally at the final stretch. So the terrorists plan to go forward spying the satellite, and just in case you forgot, that's the whole reason we're here. We then switch over to the Pentagon. Oh shit! In another universe, this would be Dr. Eggman pissing on the Earth. Food for thought. Anyways, this is where things get weird, because the next fight isn't some random guy with a weapon. No. It's a literal mutant. It's kind of an alien, it's kind of a mutant, you know? There's basically no reason for this dude to be here in the story, but I welcome the change of pace with open arms. Probably the most fun I've had so far. John tries to turn on the bright lights, but Cecile announces to him via loudspeaker that his ass is dying tonight. And oh yeah, the girl's held hostage. Okay. And here comes Jake to save the day, which they completely no-sell the bullets and lay his ass down. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. Never mind, this death mask guy is pissing me off. He just camps in one corner of the map, and you gotta get a few hits in for him to leave. And by the time you retreat, he's already sent you 6 feet under. I miraculously prevailed though, and finally we're at the last level. Cecile's superior, Kenneth, gets shot, which obviously means there's nothing standing in my way, right? Right? Our beloved government is frantically deciding between to pay up the ransom money or fight while the Secretary of Defense is twiddling their thumbs to do anything of no. So it's up to John Luke to stop, or Dan, who is miraculously alive, to avenge his brother? But don't worry guys, he is still the bad guy here. John Luke finds Lisa and they share a heartfelt moment.
Just fuck already! Send it!
After gunning down every human life form in the building, we face off with the final boss. Dan? And damn, John, is it really this possible to be this dense? Like, no shit, he's been the puppet. Just end it, man. Anyways, yeah, this was a howler of a fight. There's a blue sensor placed right next to us that turns on like 12 million lasers, which means you have basically nowhere else to go or to dodge in time. So yeah, I died. A lot. And with little patience left in me and the looming thought that I recorded 2 hours of gameplay for nothing.
Yes, I cheated, and I'm okay with that.
Whoa, what's with the overload of lore this game is giving us at the end? I barely understand what's being said by this dying weirdo, and frankly, I don't care. Dan is taken care of, the weapon doesn't doom humanity, and we all live happily ever after. Yes, this game has 2 endings, which finally pits John against Cecile. Exciting on paper. Shame they give you a free machine gun to mindlessly win. So, that's the story, I guess. There's a multiplayer mode, of course, with a dope-ass select screen. I'd talk about it more if I had friends that were nice enough to suffer through this for me. But in conclusion, this game is quite the fun piece of gaming history that holds some semblance of aging well. And yes, it does show its age in some aspects. For example, the AI isn't really what I would call sharp, and the whole story is quite unremarkable. I still do commend it for its worth for the TPS genre, and how well Omega Force executed this with zero experience. The cover system is already nuanced, and a strategic seller for the game. But shout out the laser point system, which will also get implemented in games like MGS2, which proves that time is a flat circle that always comes back around. But that's my review. If you're interested in playing, there's the N64 version readily available on NSO. There's also the PS2 port that gives everything a fresh 6th gen coat of paint. And it's fully voiced.
What?
Spin that for how you like.